and let us all do we can to build a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Case Study QB because he's sitting through corporate media so we don't have to. And look, you were on Case Study QB's show yesterday. I'm pretty sure you guys went back and forth about currently what's happening with the progressive movement, politics, news, and other current events that are taking place. And with this video, I'm asking everyone, hang on, breathe in, breathe out, because now you're hearing these pundits talk about how can the progressives get things done, whereas like their establishment Democrat colleagues or the GOP, whenever they want anything done, they get it like that. So hang on, folks. If Case Study QB sat through it, we got to sit through it too. And then let's go ahead and cut through the static noise. Let's play this first clip.
So you've got this For the People Act, right? You couldn't get Manchin on board. Then you get Manchin on board with a compromise, which, okay, fine. Stacey Abrams says it's great. Let's do it. Then Mitch McConnell and all the Republicans turn around and say, oh, it's a Stacey Abrams bill. We can't touch that. But even if you got rid of the filibuster, as Ellie's pointed out, and you passed this thing, the Roberts Court's sitting there waiting in the wings, like absolutely hacking to death. It's like, what are we doing here?
Indeed. Let me just address one quick point between you and Ellie a moment ago, and I get both sides of the argument. I think Ellie's right that they can't win without changing these rules. You're right that they're more competitive than people think. But look, the key fact is this. It's been 31 years since a Republican president won the White House with the popular vote at the first attempt. Right? That is a long time. They know that. They're not stupid. They cannot win the White House. Forget Congress, the House, which all sorts of gerrymandering, the Senate, which has all sorts of disproportionality. They know they can't win the top office very easily. To come back to your point about Manchin and the Senate, I mean, number one, the idea that they're going to reject a compromise because Stacey Abrams' name is on it comes back to Ellie's point. Could they just stop being racist for even 4 days, let alone 4 years? Number two, when is Joe Manchin going to have his awakening? Maria Theresa mentioned. I don't know. I mean, I've said Joe Manchin's name more times in 2021 than maybe I've said my 2 kids and my wife's name. I am, like Bernie Sanders, I'm fed up of saying Joe Manchin's name and Kirsten Sinema's name. But I just don't understand when they will get it, what it will take for them to get it. We were told that when they try and do a deal, when they bring something bipartisan and it fails, they will see the light. Well, we saw it on S1 where Manchin got on board with a reasonable compromise. I am no fan of Joe Manchin, but the stuff he offered was reasonable. It was a building block for something better than nothing, and yet he couldn't get a single Republican on board. Even his John Lewis bill that he says is the more important bill than the For the People Act, he has one Republican on board, Lisa Murkowski, as far as I can see. So I don't know when they're going to have their realization. I think the point is that they're never going to have their realization because it's never been about a good faith argument on their part. Forget the Republicans in good faith. I've mentioned this on the show before. Kirsten Sinema in 2010. There's a video, gone viral online. She's saying in 2010, we must forget about the false option of 60. We must use budget reconciliation for good, as Republicans did.
Okay, so first, I understand there's a lot of people angry hearing these 4 stooges talk, but let's be very clear here. It was corporate media that gave the green light for the establishment Democrats to act like this, and also, again, how the progressive Democrats have basically bent over backwards to appease their corporate Democrat colleagues, thus allowing GOP to continue to be their, aggressive counterparty. The issue is, though, is that we know that Joe Manchin has been playing a key role in stopping anything progressive from happening. So that means all the progressive promises that were made during the 2020 election cycle, they've been halted by Manchin and Sinema because the progressives never had a chance to voice out or speak out really against their Democratic colleagues. And the thing is, corporate media helped create that environment. And now everyone's wondering, well, how Joe Biden's going to get anything done? How is Joe Biden's going to get anything done? Well, the thing is, remember, he said it himself that nothing's going to fundamentally change, and everyone's acting shocked at how the progressives, or even at the Democrats as a whole, let's just put all the Democrats together, the Democrats as a whole, how they're going to get anything done. Well, because they help create this environment where, again, the GOP can be the bully and the Democrats are just the people saying, oh, there's nothing we can do, we just need more people in office. Even if you have more people in office, there's still excuses. The Senate parliamentarian. How many people even knew that there was a Senate parliamentarian before that name was even mentioned? And the thing is, key fact about the Senate parliamentarian, they're a non-elected official. That means they can be superseded by the president and the vice president, especially if that person is trying to stop their legislative promises and their policies. So, again, corporate media, you need to realize the fact that you helped contribute to this huge disaster, this neoliberal nightmare that we are in. Daniel.
So, yeah, this is the same story, different day, different variables, same overall picture, same formula. Mainstream media can't seem to understand why the thing that they created is happening. Democrats can't seem to understand why nothing's happening. Republicans can't seem to understand why not everything's going their way all the time. And Stacey Abrams is also involved in this somehow. Okay. What is happening is the same thing that I have been saying for a while. So ever since Joe Biden got into office, Kit's been saying the same thing. A lot of people have been saying the same thing, which is the question was always, from the Democrats' point of view, how can we stop anything from happening? How can we do anything in our power to not do anything that we promise in our campaigns? How do we grind the gears of Washington, D.C. to a halt because we don't want to act, because our donors do not want us to act? Well, you have someone like Joe Manchin, which I'm sure they have dirt on him. I'm sure they could, if they really decided to, force to make a vote, but they're not. Because again, it's Joe Biden is using all of these things as a shield to protect the fact that he doesn't want anything to happen. Joe Biden has talked more about bills that he'll veto than bills that he'll sign. So use Manchin, make him go in the way, pretend for half a year that if only Manchin is convinced that Republicans won't act, then he'll go ahead and do something with the Democrats. Of course, that's not happening at all. And we knew it wouldn't happen because that's ridiculous. When something is passable and maybe able to happen without Manchin, create a parliamentarian issue, even though the parliamentarian will do exactly what the vice president will say. Everything that is happening now are Democrats trying to do everything to put a smokescreen in between your eyes and their inaction and their desire to maintain that inaction.
Yep. Now let's play the second part of that video. Again, shout out to Case Study QB. Again, doing a lot of great work. Be sure to check out his original YouTube channel where Daniel Lupker, first time ever, was on his show. And also be sure to check out his Odyssey channel as well. But let's play this.
You can actually see me in the left hand side kicking him in the legs in this next segment.
Let's go ahead and play this video.
Evil. That's the Kirsten cinema I agree with, 11 years out of date. So I don't know what's going to take. One thing I would say, Chris, important, Joe Biden. Let's not let Joe Biden get away with it. Sorry, the president has a responsibility here. It has been nearly 4 months since he spoke to George Stephanopoulos and said he supports a reform of the filibuster. I've heard nothing from the president since. Where is the bully pulpit? Where is he using his leadership to say, get rid of this filibuster?
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, if it is going to happen, Maria, and again, this is where, you know, this all comes down to is these sort of procedural questions, which are actually substantive ones. But if it's going to happen, to Mehdi's point, and I agree with him, Biden is going to have to take the reins on it.
Well, he's also, you know, he's appointed and deployed the vice president to go from town to town. She was recently in Las Vegas and talking specifically about this. But I will share with you, we are on the verge of losing our democracy if we do not see Americans talking and calling their members of Congress and filling up the town halls this August and say, I demand it. Because sadly, most of our legislators, they do not find courage unless it's the people talking to them. And this is where we are. To your point, Chris, this was the largest participation in our nation's history when it came to the voting booth. Why throw that to the wayside? We have an engaged public.
Yes.
People are paying attention. They understand how the system works. Get them involved, because access to the voting booth is one of the few things that Americans across political stripes actually agree with.
Yeah, it's true. Maria Teresa Kuma.
Okay, we're going to put a pause on all this right here. Again, remember, as I said in the clip, 4 months ago, Biden was saying he was going to follow through, was getting rid of the filibuster, he was going to do all these things. Again, this is political ammunition that can be used against Joe Biden by the GOP, or dare I say it, hey, progressive Democrats like Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, our revolution. This is your chance. If you really want to, really push back against establishment Democrats, you could use this against them. You could say that, hey, Biden's not our ally. Biden's not going to fight for us, so we got to get more progressives in office. But the sad fact is, even when you try and run in the Democratic Party, you compromise until you finally don't even even talk about what you ran for in the first place. And the thing is, a lot of Americans, a lot of voters in general, are getting burnt out. This goes for people who vote for Republican, vote for Democrat. And the thing is, we got to break away from this two-party system, because a two-party system has created this environment to where the politicians say things that you want to hear, that we want to hear, that we agree with, but they never follow through on. They will never follow through on Medicare for all. They will never follow through on the Federal Jobs Guarantee Act. They will never follow through on a universal basic income. They will never follow through on investing into our infrastructure. What, $2.6 trillion for the infrastructure bill? I mean, that's the number, the highest number they went to, but yet you have conservative Democrats and, of course, the GOP as a whole saying, oh, no, that's too much. That's too much. And yet we're stuck in regime change wars as well. No student debt forgiveness, no medical debt forgiveness. It's madness and stupidity. And the thing is, Democrats, if you want voter turnout, you're going to have to do some kind of Hail Mary right now to really make yourselves stand out.
At least pretend, like, again, like, you could literally do like a force the vote style thing where you're like, look, we're going to, Nancy Pelosi's like, you know what? Goes out in media. People need health care, blah, 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 ice cream, something or other. We're going to pass Medicare for all. Watch us. She knows that it's not going to pass Joe Biden. It's not going to pass the Senate. So just push it, and then you could at least go, it didn't happen, but we were here, we were backing. They're not even going to do that. They're not even pretending. They're not even pretending to do a dedicated kabuki theater. They're just going with kind of like the, I guess we'll do a kabuki theater event. Because, again, they don't want to do anything. They have not wanted to do anything. The Democrats want the same things as Republicans in office. They want everything to stay the same, because if everything stays the same, their donors will stay in power because they're in power because of the current way the rules work. And if you change the rules, their donors are not as powerful, and that's why they are bought. And so if we have someone that's, going into the Democratic Party, go running it, they're not your friends. You can't make them your friends. You have to act as an independent.
Mm-hmm. Agreed completely. Also, one other thing, too, to bring up. I like how the fact they did bring up Kristen Sinema 10 years ago and how she said we got to get rid of the filibuster. Well, Sinema has since then changed her mind, especially when she did that infamous curtsy thumbs down to a $15 minimum wage increase. That's right, she did that. And she was following through with the idea of the filibuster, standing in solidarity with Senator Joe Manchin.
When she did the thumbs down, she's like, I want about 10,000 people to die because of this one action. Also, who wants cookies?
No. She brought them cake. She brought her Senate colleagues cake. I know. Even Marie Antoinette wasn't that stupid. So there we go. How about that?
Marie Antoinette was just asking the question. Cinema's like, I'm actually going to do it.
No, but a little historical fact. Marie Antoinette never said let them eat.
She said, let them eat Taco Bell, Crunchwrap Supreme.
Yeah, Crunchwrap Supreme. That's what, and the French people were like, Sacre Roux, what is that?
And then they're like, you tell us to eat this. Man, there's a whole real conversation about how they tried to get potatoes to be eaten, but potatoes had such a bad reputation that no one wanted to make them, even though it would have really helped.
Yeah. Oh, well. Madness and stupidity, especially in our Senate, especially with corporate media. And now everyone's asking how this will play out. My own personal opinion for 2022, if the Democrats, especially the progressive Democrats, want to get voter turnout and inspire more people, they're going to have to do a Hail Mary. But what that is, I don't know, because they've been silent and obedient to the Biden administration and to corporate Democrats and to corporate media for a very long time during this time of 2021. And only now they're speaking out. It's probably too little too late, which is why I'm in full support of third parties. It needs to happen now, and we need to look at different options because you're not going to get represented by the Democratic or Republican parties.